Hey everyone, it's Bethany with AB Cute Creations here, and today I'm going to do a tutorial on how to make the 5-point star messy bun hat. So grab your supplies and come join me for this tutorial. For this tutorial, you will need yarn. Today I'm using Impeccable by Loops and Threads, and it's in the color Amethyst and True Gray. A crochet hook. I'm using size J for this tutorial. Scissors, a hair tie, and a yarn needle. Let's get started. I'm going to start with chaining on 9 stitches. Once we have 9 stitches on, in the second chain from your hook, you're going to do a slip stitch. Then you want to continue to slip stitch down the remaining 7 stitches. Okay, so we now have 8 stitches. This is going to be the brim of our hat. We're actually going to keep slip stitching into the back loop all the way up, and I'll show you what that looks like. It actually gives it a nice stretch for the brim, so it's an excellent option for any of your bottom-up hats that you're working on. If you wanted to make it for an adult, you could either keep it the same or you could add on 2 more stitches to the brim and it would just make it a little bit longer. So after each row you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to continue to slip stitch into the back loop only. And we're going to build this up until we get to about 40 rib rows. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, so I've got a little bit of a start here so you can see what I mean by the ribbing. You want to make sure that anytime there's the bump, you're counting that as 1 row. Even though it does take, you have to go on this side and the back side to get this 1 row. So we're going to do 1, 2, and keep counting up. So you need to get to 40 of those rows. And I'll meet you back here once you're done. I have finished up the brim of my hat now, and I wanted to show you guys that this is where I'm going to end it. I actually did 40 on this side, so again, if you're counting your ribbing, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and so on, till I got up to 40. This is actually about 15.5 inches in length, so if you'd rather go off of the length of it, that's where I'm at, is about 15.5 inches. And then on the back, I actually only have 39 ribbings. So technically, if you're counting actual rows, I did 79 rows to get here. And I wanted to stop here instead of completing the other side because when I combine the ends, I want to make sure that this end is on this side so that I can weave it in as I go. This is just a personal preference. You don't have to go this route, but I'll show you what I mean. So when we match up our brim, because we're gonna have to slip stitch this together, then this will be, I'm gonna go from this end to this end, and then I'm gonna work around, this will be the top of my hat. So I want to make sure that as I'm working around, I can just stitch over this and weave in this end as I go. So that's why I do it that way. Again, it's just a personal preference. You can always use your yarn needle at the end and weave that end in as well as the top. The less ends that I have to weave in, I find the better. So again, that's just my personal preference. Okay, so now this is where we're gonna start to stitch our hat together. You can see that we've got the front of the ribbing, and then we have this stitch here, and this loop here. So I'm going to actually go into the top two, and then I'm going to connect it to the two in here just for the first stitch, just to make it extra secure. Okay, so we're going to do a slip stitch there. Go all the way through. Okay, now for the remainder of this row I will go through these two stitches, but then I'm going to only go through the back on this one. So you want to continue to slip stitch all the way across into the back loop. Okay, and then we just have our last one here. Okay, so now we have our brim all stitched up, and you will be able to see the seam, but it's not going to be so bad once it's in the back. So we're going to chain one, and now we need to make sure that we get 63 stitches going around the top of the brim. Now, if you'll remember, we have 40 of the ribbing. So that right there is 40 stitches because we'll go into the ribbing. Then you also have to go into every other space in between. So we're going to, not only are we going to stitch into every top of the ribbing, we're going to go in between every other space, and that will provide us with 60 stitches. So then all you need to do along the way is somewhere pick up 3 stitches. So for example, at 3 points, instead of skipping the in-between, I'm going to also crochet in there. So I would do 1 stitch in there, that's 2, then I'd do 3, and then instead of skipping this next one, I'd go 4, and then 5, and then 6, 7, and then this one I would skip. That way you're adding the extra one in there. So I'll show you how to do the first couple. So I'm going to go right into the space, right down into this V here, right where I came out with the chain one. I'm going to yarn over and pull through, and again, as I go, I'm going to weave in this end. I'm going to crochet right over it. There is my first single crochet. I'm going to go in between here. There's 2. I'm going to go into this V, and there is 3. I'm going to get one of my 3 out of the way right away, so I'm going to go 4, then I'll go into this ribbing, 5, 6, 7, and now I'm going to skip this one. So we'll be at 8, 9, 10, and then I'm going to skip the next one in between, 11, 12, 13. So I'm going to continue on with that all the way around, and again I have to make sure I have 63 by the time I come back here. So I'll see you back when I'm done. I now have 63 stitches, and I wanted to come around and show you how I'm going to do my color change. First, I wanted to say this hat is going to be fitting somebody who's around 8 to 12 years old. So you really want to figure out your sizing before you start. So if you're making this for an adult, I would say size up and maybe add a couple more rows here, and then I would make sure that you have either 65 or 67 single crochets in here. That's how many you would need, an odd number to do the 5-point star. So as long as you kind of gauge that way, or you can size up on your hook size to make it a little bit bigger, and then conversely, if you were going to size down for somebody younger, then you would take off stitches in counts of 2. So as long as you're at an odd number, either going with 61 or 59 stitches, and then you can kind of size it off of that. So it's a pretty easy pattern to kind of adjust for sizing. You can really add on or take away the size of the hat really easily. So again, I'm going to stick with 63 single crochets for the hat that I'm doing. Here's my first stitch. I kind of wanted to show you too in between where I actually single crocheted. So you can see that I did in between, that's in between the ribbing, and there's the ribbing, and then I skipped this in between. So that's kind of how I worked it all the way around. Alright, so I'm going to slip stitch and change my color because now I want to start my purple, and I apologize, I know it's a little dark for the camera. I will, these are the colors I have to do for a client, so that's why I'm using them. So I will try my best to make sure you can see. Now, for this, you don't want to tighten this down too much. This is how I do my color changes. I'm going to be try to be as helpful as I can on this. So once you've looped on your new color, you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to go and single crochet back into that same stitch. So you're going to actually go through here instead of just crocheting in here. You're going to go back through here where the purple yarn is coming out of from your last slip stitch. And this is why you don't want to pull that yarn too tight. It can be hard to get through there. Okay, then you're going to go where the purple is coming out of from the first single crochet in the row. So you're going to insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, and then you're going to pull it through this gray loop as well. And if you have to stop it and rewind and watch a couple of times, please do so. I'm going to tighten down on this slightly. Again, I don't want it to be too tight here. I just want it to come down because when I come back at the end of this row, I'm going to go in there again just to really make sure that color change looks nice and smooth. So we're going to finish that single crochet, and you can see how nice it's laying down now, but it'll get even better once I come around the back. Okay, so what we want to do now is we're just going to single crochet all the way around until we have 63 stitches. So just single crochet in each single crochet, and then I'll show you how I do kind of a pretend decrease at the end. You're not really decreasing because this stitch doesn't count, but I go into both of them, and I'll explain that at the end of this round. So I'm going to tie off, I'm going to cut off the gray. You can either choose to carry your yarn up if you're just using these two colors. I like to tie it off and just make the inside look nice and neat, especially when I'm selling these to a client. Okay, so now just continue on and single crochet, and I'll meet you around after you're done. Once you've made it around to the end of the round, I want to show you how I do my color changes. Now, you're more than welcome to just finish that last stitch and then connect to the beginning single crochet with a slip stitch. This is how I'm going to do it, and this is how I always do my work, just because I feel like it really makes that color change a little bit smoother. So I'm going to insert my hook into that last stitch. I'm going to yarn over and pull through. Okay, and then I'm going to go in here where the purple yarn is coming out. I'm going to go back in that stitch. Now this is why it's very important not to tighten this too much at the beginning. You also don't want to leave it too loose because then it will pop up and it'll come up here and your color change will not be smooth. So it might take a little effort, but you pop that in. So now you've got your hook inserted there, and then where this purple yarn is coming out from your first stitch, you're going to insert your hook in there again. Yarn over now and pull it through and go all the way through the gray yarn or whatever color you're using. So what that's going to do is really push that down and make it a much smoother color change. So then I go ahead and finish that stitch. Now I'm ready to insert my hook into that first single crochet, and we're going to start our 5-point star. So what we need to do is just do a slip stitch, and then we're going to chain 3. I'm going to try to be really careful with the lighting here because I know I'm using dark yarn. Okay, to do our first star, we need to insert our hook into the second chain from the hook. If I could insert it. Okay, then we're going to yarn over and pull through. We're going to keep that loop on the hook. Now we're going to go in through the bottom chain, that very first chain, insert your hook, yarn over and pull through. Keep that loop on your hook as well. Then we're going to go into that first single crochet, which is the very base, right where you came out of for your chain. You're going to insert your hook, yarn over and pull through. Keep that on. You should have 4 loops on your hook now. Now we're going to insert into the next 2 single crochets. So the next single crochet, we're going to insert our hook, yarn over and pull through, and then again with the next single crochet, insert your hook, yarn over and pull through. Now you should have 6 loops on your hook, and we're going to yarn over and pull through all 6 loops. Then to close this star, we're going to do a chain of 1. And that's your first star stitch. Now for your second one, we obviously won't have those 3 chains to work in. We're going to work inside our star. So we're going to go back into that chain you just made, yarn over and pull through. Then we're going to go into the star right here, insert your hook, yarn over and pull through. Then down at the bottom of that where we finished our star in the last one, we're going to go into that single crochet. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, and then you're going to do the same with the next 2 single crochets. So we'll go into the next one, yarn over and pull through, insert your hook to the next one, yarn over and pull through, then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 6 loops on our hook. Then we're going to close it off with a chain stitch. That is our star stitch that we're going to repeat all the way around. Okay, I've got good lighting here. I'm going to try to use that. So again, we're going to insert our hook into this chain, yarn over and pull through. Then we're going to go in through these loops here, that side of our last star. We're going to insert our hook, yarn over and pull through. Then we're going to go in through this single crochet here, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through. Then we're going to go into the next 2 single crochets. Insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, insert your hook, yarn over and pull through. We now have 6 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 6 loops and chain. I'm going to do one more with you, and then I'm going to finish up this round. So We're going to insert our hook into the chain, yarn over and pull through, insert into the star, yarn over and pull through, insert into the base of the star, yarn over and pull through, insert in the next single crochet, yarn over and pull through, insert in the next single crochet, yarn over and pull through. We're going to close that off, and that's our star stitch. So continue on all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the end to kind of show you how I prevent there from being a big hole in the join. I'm at the end of that row now, and I wanted to show you how I finish my row. I'll show you how you can do it, and then I'll show you how I do it. So we're going to finish our 5-point star hat, because you go into 5 points. Okay, now that that is done, we want to connect to the beginning of the row. Now instead of just doing a slip stitch into this second chain from the hook, or second chain up, if we were to just slip stitch in, even pulling that tight, you can still see there's a pretty big hole there. Now you might be okay with that, and that's totally fine. It's up to your preference. I don't like that. So I've kind of come up with a little cheat on how to fix that. Now keep in mind, my method will actually be adding on a stitch here, so we will have to take care of that in the next round with a decrease at the end, but I'll get to that. So we're going to first start by yarning over like we're going to do a double crochet. We're going to insert our hook into the side of our star. So we're going to go right in there. We're going to yarn over and pull through, but keep it on your hook. We're then going to go into the base of the star, and again, I feel like that hole kind of opens up because it was a fake decrease on the last round. So what we're going to do is in between these two stitches, instead of just, you could also just go into the single crochet there. That's fine. I like to just kind of make the appearance a little better. So I went in, you can see where I went in between these stitches here, under that. Okay, then I picked up a loop and brought it through. Now I'm going to go into this last one, which is actually the previous round, and this is where you'd be adding on a stitch. So I'm going to pick up a loop. Now I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to pull through 3 of the loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over one more time and pull through the remaining 3 loops on my hook. So this is kind of what you end up with, which is like a filler. Now I'm going to insert my hook into that second chain, and I'm going to drop the purple yarn, and I'm going to add the gray. So again, we're going to do our special little color change. So we're going to pull through, and now we're going to be working into that stitch where the gray is coming out of. So we're going to go ahead and chain 1, and then where that gray yarn is coming out, we're going to go inside there through the top, and then where the gray yarn is coming out here, we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, and make sure you go all the way through that purple yarn. Now this can be kind of tricky. If you just want to stick with how you normally join in your rounds, that's totally fine. You don't have to do this method if it's too complicated. This is just what I've found provides smoother results. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off that single crochet. Now again, we're going to tighten down this purple a little bit, but we need to make sure that we can still get into it when we come back around at the end here, if you're using my method, so that you can go in with your hook and not leave it too loose. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to single crochet. Now when we're single crocheting this round, it's a little tricky because you're working into your stars. So here's where we want to work in. We're going to work in through the top of the star here. Then we're going to work into our chain stitch that closed off our star. And And then we're going to work into the next top of the star, and then the next chain stitch. So it's gonna, you'll find it works pretty easily. You're going to get 2 single crochets for each star stitch. So we're going to go in through the top of that star, single crochet, and then we're going to go right into the chain stitch and single crochet. And we're going to continue this all the way around. First I'm going to cut off my purple and tie my knot. And I'm going to be careful when I'm tying my knot to not pull that purple too tight. Okay. And now I'm going to just finish crocheting around, and I'm going to weave in those ends. So I went into that top of that star stitch into the chain stitch. Now I'm going to go into the top of the star. I'm going to go into the chain stitch. And now I'm going to go into the top of the star. Chain stitch and the top of the star. So continue that until we come around to the back, and then I'll show you how to correct that increase that we did here. We're actually going to decrease over these 3 stitches, but I'll show you as soon as I get back to that side. I'm to the end of my thin gray stripe row, and I wanted to show you how I do that decrease, because if you used my method and you added this stitch in here, you now have an extra stitch that you need to get rid of before you can start your next 5-point star round. So I like to just get rid of it right away in the gray round. You could do it in the purple round as well. If you did not use this method for the join, then don't worry about it. You won't have this extra stitch. Just make sure you count your stitches and that you have 63 by the time you start the next round. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert our hook into that top chain stitch, yarn over and pull through. Then we're going to come in here into that new stitch we made, yarn over and pull through. And then we're going to come in through the top again because we did a color change. So we need to go in through the top where the gray yarn is coming out, where our first single crochet came out. We're going to insert our hook down there and then finish going through where the gray yarn has come out. And that's super important for making that color change just flow nicely. Okay, then we're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on our hook. And now we're going to change back to our purple. So we're going to insert our hook into the first single crochet, and then we're going to slip stitch. We're going to pull through that remaining of the slip stitch with our new color, the purple. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to chain up. We're going to start that row with our single crochet by going in through the top and where the purple's coming out, single crochet, close that off, and now we're going to tighten down just a little bit. There we go, we don't want it too tight. I'm going to do a couple of single crochets with your purple, and doing this row is a good opportunity to recount your stitches and make sure that you have 63 going around. Or if you were doing an adult hat, you'd want to make sure that you kept to 65 stitches or 67 or whatever it was that you did. So just make sure that you're being consistent all the way around and you're not losing or gaining stitches as you're doing this. So I'm going to go ahead and tie off my yarn, and then I'm going to finish crocheting all the way around in purple. And then I'm going to do another star round, and then I'm going to start all over with my pattern and do a single row of gray, and then do single crochet of purple, and then another star round. So we're going to continue that pattern up, and then I'll meet back with you once we're ready to start decreasing. I'm back, and I have completed 4 repeats of it, so I've got 4 of the thick purple stripes. I'm going to start decreasing little by little here. So this is what I am going to do next. Every 5th stitch, now you can see I already did my thin gray stripe, and as I'm starting with my 5th purple, I'm going to do every 5th stitch as a decrease. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets, and now I'm going to start onto my 5th stitch, which will be a decrease. And then I'm going to repeat that all the way around. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I'm going to do the 5th as a decrease. So repeat that around and then continue on with your 5-point star stitch. Just double check and make sure that you are counting all your stitches to make sure that you're ending on an odd number. So as long as you have an odd number here at the end, you're good to go on to your star stitch round. I'm back around at the end of that row and I'm at 50 stitches, so this last one will make 51. Again, I'm going to go into that stitch. In fact, I'm going to go underneath in between that stitch. And decrease into that last one. Okay, so that leaves us with 51 stitches, which will be perfect for the next round of our star stitch. Now keep in mind, if you're doing an adult size, you may want to go up one more round of purple before you start on your decreases. That's fine. If you want to add another one, just bump it up a step, and then you can start your decreases. This might fit you, however, it depends on your head size. Again, if you have a larger head, you're going to probably want to add on an extra row. Otherwise, you might be able to get away with this youth size hat. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do my 5-point star stitch, come back around, and then I'll show you how I do my final round of decrease and attaching the elastic. I'm back, and I thought I would work my last 5-point star with you on this hat. So this will be the last time we're using our purple. So we're going to finish up with that last stitch. Okay, now we're going to join on our gray. And this will start our last 2 decrease rounds. And I like to end on the color that I started with, just to kind of tie it in with the brim of the hat. If you're not that picky about it, you can do either. It really doesn't matter. It's whatever you think will look best. I'm going to do every 3rd one as a decrease this round. So I'll do 2. And then I'll go into my decrease. I'm going to tie off that purple. So our 3rd one is the decrease. So we're going to continue on until the end of the round. And then I'll come back and I'll show you how we join and add on our elastic. I finished that gray decrease round. Now I'm back. I'm up to 38 stitches. My last one will be 39. So now we're going to do our final decrease round. So I'm going to slip stitch into that first stitch. I'm going to chain 1. Now when I insert this hook, I want to go around the elastic this time. So we're going to do some decreases along with adding the elastic in this round. So we're going to pull through and do our first single crochet. The next one is going to be a decrease. So this is how we're going to decrease around this elastic. So you can see that we're just crocheting right over it. Okay, so we're going to continue to do that and decrease on every other stitch. So we'll do one single crochet, and then we're going to decrease. And it's going to get kind of thick around the hair tie, and that's okay. So continue on, and I'll meet you back at the end. I am ready to do my last stitch on my hat. So I'm going to go ahead and do that final fake decrease. Slip stitch to the first stitch in the round. And then all we have to do is cut off our yarn and weave in our tail. So now we have a great stretchy top. And because we have so many stitches up there, it's going to really help to hide the elastic. You'll be able to see it once it's stretched out, but once it goes back, it'll be just perfect again. Okay, so that is the 5-point star Messy Bun Hat. And you can see the joins, but it's pretty seamless, guys. That's a great way to do it if you're looking to make it less noticeable. That's why I use that method, and I think it looks pretty good. So go ahead and let me know what you guys think. If you have any other videos you'd like to see, let me know. Like and subscribe if you would, please. And let me know how yours turn out. Let me know if there's anything you'd like to see me do. And if you guys want, you can also add a nice little embellishment. I'm going to show some that I did where I added flowers on them that are interchangeable. And I'll be doing another tutorial on that. So I will link to that below as well. Thanks so much, guys.